All right, it is 6 o'clock.
Did you not get any paint on you today?
Automatically. Gary and Nicole are both unable to attend. I affirm that this meeting of the Ripon Area School District Board of Education has been properly noticed in accordance with the Open Meeting Law and State Statute 19.84 and related legal references. And we'll lead off, as always, with the statement of the district vision. One of Wisconsin's finest school districts and fostering excellence for all through innovation. First item on the agenda is to recognize the retirees. Who gets to come up first?
I'll go first. I know you want to be first.
Oh, sure.
All right. First of all, congratulations, everybody, on your retirement. Glad you guys have an opportunity to do that and enjoy what you have ahead of you. So, congratulations. I'm here on behalf of Jenny Riley. Jenny has dedicated her career as an educator to the Ripon Area School District, her alma mater. Upon graduation from UW-La Crosse, she worked as a long-term substitute at Ripon Middle School as she awaited her dream job as a 5th grade teacher. Luckily, Lee Nelson, the principal at the time, knew better and convinced Jenny that she was meant to teach middle school. So we and Jenny are forever grateful for his wisdom at that time. Over 33 years of service, Jenny has served in a number of roles, all of which were done skillfully. She began as a language arts teacher, but has also taught social studies, computer applications, and math. She also served as a technology mentor, dean of students, mentor to new teachers, assisted with scheduling, that's basically working with me, and the past 2 years as a math interventionist, which I believe is the role that she really was born to do. Beyond the classroom, she's also represented RMS in the annual highway cleanup, was a dedicated clock operator for volleyball and basketball games, which I know she absolutely enjoyed. And still is an exceptional dodgeball player, which was shown the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and is known as the resident data guru. Whether in the classroom or out, everything Jenny does is done to always put students first. Her passion and dedication to their learning and to them as people is commendable. We thank you for your dedication and the difference you have made in the lives of so many Ripon students. We appreciate your creativity, big heart, sense of humor, leadership. We will miss you already and wish you had a happy days relaxing on the deck or in Florida, and hope you never again have to see the lights, or look at the lights, I guess is what we
look at the lights. I'm looking at them right now.
Exactly. Congratulations on your retirement, Jenny. That's for your 6th grade team and myself.
Thank you.
Big hug. We're huggers now.
I started with the great principal and I ended with the
Well, I'll take it.
We won't talk about the in-between.
All right.
Just kidding.
Not enough.
All righty. I get the great pleasure of introducing Jim Henslin. Jim's been with the district for 28 years. Started out as a night custodian at the high school. Transferred to the middle school on nights, and then in July of 96, he then became the lead custodian at the middle school, which he was there up until almost the end when they, year before they knocked it down, and then came to the high school and been here ever since. I met Jim probably 3 weeks before I started in my position. I was walking around with the former business manager, and Jim came up to me and says, "Hey, you're the new guy," and congratulated me and said, "Hey, if you need anything, I'll be here to help you." Well, 5 years later, I'm still going to Jim with questions here and there, and Jim's always more than willing to help me. So, Jim, you know, it's been a great 5 years with me, great 28 years with the district. I know you're looking forward to the retirement and spending more time with the family and the grandkids. And he said to me last week, he says, "Yeah, I might even go to some extra Brewer games, you know, because I go to day games now, and I can get senior citizen discount." So Jim was very proud that he can go to more Brewer games. And I said to him, I says, "Well, you know, enjoy him. Hopefully he goes to a couple night games too, but I know he's a morning owl, so he'll probably do morning the most, or the day games the most." So Jim, appreciate everything you've done. You know, you've done such a great job with all the changes, even with COVID. Jim could have said at any time, I'm ready to bail here. But he stuck through COVID. We're coming out of COVID, and now he's going to retire. And his wife said to me today, said to me this afternoon, she goes, well, you know, he might be bored. He might come back. So I'd more than welcome him back anytime he wants to come back. So
That's not what we said after lunch today.
Okay, yep.
I'm going to go next because Mrs. Paulsine graciously, they have their, I think, music banquet, and I said to her that we were either going to come out there or she had to come in here. And she chose to come in here. And I have the pleasure of talking about two really pros. They're professional in every sense of the way. And I wrote a poem for each one of them. So, yes, bear with me. Mrs. Paulsine has been a band teacher for 22 years. We all know that, but she has meant so much more. Time to get on with the show. Here, every morning at the crack of dawn, ready to teach students how to play, Mrs. Paulsine did it the right way. Her students made music that showed a passion and a delight. Parents and community members could not wait for the concerts at night. And lessons, oh lessons, thousands I'm sure, but that is why the music is so pure. Let's not forget the pep bands playing at athletic events. The band was loud, fun, and made the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. Community events, the number is too many to count. Mrs. Paulsine's band was always there, ready to provide the joy of music for all that came out. And the parades, the many parades, Memorial Day, 4th of July, homecoming, just to name a few. Students knew parades were part of the deal. All they had to do is keep up with Mrs. Paulsine in her 8-inch heels. As I mentioned earlier, students came to band early in the morning. In Mrs. Paulsine's cupboards, in case kids were hungry, there were loaves of bread and peanut butter aplenty. I think we all know that Smucker's is closing later this year. In part, sales will be way down because Mrs. Paulsine will no longer be around. A true professional, a pro's pro, soon Mrs. Paulsine will no longer be here to bring goodwill and that music cheer. Congratulations on your retirement. There you go.
Thank you, nice poem.
Thank you. Go and enjoy your band.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Mrs. Landerman also have a nice poem. Well, I think they're nice. I don't know. Teaching physical education at Ripon High School for 38 years is a very long time. Within those years, Mrs. Landerman has shown she is one of a kind. One might think she was only in the gym, but wait until you hear everything she did. Teaching, of course, was her main love, and every time I was in her class, she proved she was a cut above. Mrs. Landerman had the kids do so many fun activities while she taught here. Fishing, bowling, biking, and archery happen every year. No matter what class I saw, students showed great sportsmanship, were engaged, and having a ball. To show school spirit, Mrs. Landerman was always there. She wore many costumes, a tree, a snowman, and even an elf outfit she did wear. Mrs. Landerman coached volleyball and track for many years, helping students reach great heights under her watch, with many track athletes reaching state, and don't forget a state volleyball championship in 1998. Just a side note, I'm glad you won it in 1998 because it rhymed. And if it wasn't 1998, it is now. When Mrs. Landerman was not coaching, she supervises the student section for many home events. Her student club Activo taught kids how to lead, cheer, be loud and proud. They would be with Mrs. Landerman near. Well, wait a minute, I know I messed that one up. Her students club Activo, she taught kids to cheer loud and proud. They would be on their best behavior because Mrs. Landerman is near. When Mrs. Landerman is not watching the student section, what does she do but take pictures of athletes and post them too? Mrs. Landerman is a true professional, a pro's pro, and she will be missed when she does go. She will leave many shoes, preferably Nike. There's a story behind that, right? That's your brand, Nike, to fill when she does retire. Many as students she did inspire. Congratulations on your retirement. You want to tell us about the shoes? What about the shoes? How many shoes do you have?
If you ask him, he'll say too many.
I don't know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I am here to talk about Ann Zabel. Ann has worked hard for the district for 20 years. She has worked as a special education aide with a variety of teachers, students, and in different programs. Ann moved up in the ranks from working on the floor or at little tables and chairs with early childhood students to the medium-sized desks and chairs at Murray Park. Ann's last 7 or so years were spent at the high school, where I had the fortunate experience of working with her. She spent long days in the intellectual disabilities classroom, helping students grow in independence, and I learned a lot from Ann too. Ann has a gentle spirit that allows students to try new things. She has a kind voice that gives feedback that is constructive and allows students to grow. She has a strong arm to help students up when they need a hand, or with a task, or when they fall. Ann has a big heart. She loves kids like no other. I would go on, but I might cry. I was sad when I learned of Ann's retirement. I wanted many more students to have the experience of working with Ann. Putting my feelings aside, I am so happy that it's your time to retire so you can work on quilting, crafting, and spending lots of time with your grandkids. Congratulations in your retirement.
If I get my bus forms in, I'm always running down the hall. I'm like, I'm here for the chocolate. I'm first.
So each year these retirement celebrations get harder and harder for me to say goodbye. So I did write down my words just in case I slipped it up a little bit. Today I'm here to celebrate the teaching career of Catherine McMillan. Catherine has taught for a total of 34 years. 24 of those have been in service to the Ripon Area School District. I've had the privilege of spending the last 7 years with Catherine. For those of you lucky enough to be near Catherine, you know that she tells it like it is. You never have to wonder what she's thinking because she will always tell you. She probably doesn't remember, but in one of our first heart-to-heart conversations, Catherine said to me, T, when they first hired you, I thought, what the heck are they thinking? She's just out of the womb. But now that I know you, I understand that you are exactly what we needed. I cannot begin to describe how much that approval meant to me, but I can tell you from that point on, I openly accepted all hugs from Catherine. Have any of you ever had a hug from Catherine? They're magical. If you haven't, you're missing out. It is safe and warm and quite possibly the best mom hug you will ever experience. What I will miss most about Catherine is her ability to create a community within the classroom, school, and building. I know firsthand that she makes every child that walks through her classroom door feel special and loved, and they continue to feel that love long after they leave. When I say I know this firsthand, it is because Catherine had my daughter in her classroom a few years ago. Her second grade year was a pivotal year because it is when she started to see herself as part of the classroom community. It is also the year when her inner dialogue changed from negative to accepting. Catherine taught her to love all of the parts of her, including the quirks. I have chosen this succulent in an owl vase as a special gift for Catherine. My daughter gave her a fake succulent. I can't keep plants alive, so we just stick with fake ones. And this one I kept alive for 2 weeks. It'll probably be dead when you get home, but right now it looks okay. I chose this as a gift because 4 years ago, Nettie gave a succulent to her, and she brings it up every time she reconnects with my sweet girl. Catherine also decorated her room in owls, which happens to be a symbol of wisdom. So I hope this small token reminds Catherine of the difference her wisdom has made in the lives of so many children and adults. Best wishes, Catherine.
We have one person signed up to speak, and I think this is probably the right time. Pam Mum.
Should I speak from here or over here? Okay. So I'm Pam Mum. I'm on the Governance Council for Barlow Park Charter, which Mrs. McMillan is a wonderful part of. I've had the privilege of working, of working with Mrs. McMillan for the last 3.5 years as a Governance Council member. And I have to say, wow, what an honor. Your wisdom, your leadership, your community. Thank you for all of your continued support for our kiddos. Always trying to find a way to make education better. Thanks for your professionalism. So many hours of training, teamwork, problem solving, to switch school models at, 30 years of teaching? Whew, it takes a special person. So thank you. And thank you so much for all of your heart and your love. So enjoy your retirement. I have to be done.
And on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you all. Heartfelt thanks for something like 166 years of teaching here. We really appreciate it, and we will all miss you. So we could all show them with another round of applause, please.
I don't know if we're supposed to talk, but I just wanted to say thank you for allowing, I'm sure everybody feels this way, allowing me to work here for that long. Every year I got the, the what? Contract. Yeah, the contract. I didn't take it for granted. A lot of times I would say thank you to Mary. I'd email her and say thank you for my contract. I know that, we take things for granted, but it was a real honor to work for Ripon for as long as that I worked here. It's a great district, and I'd tell anybody that. And the higher-ups and our principals, and I had the wonderful opportunity to work with Randy too. Lots of people I've worked with, and they've all been stellar. So thank you for the job that the board does too, and allowing us to do what we really feel is the best for our kiddos, because that's kind of what we're here for, right? So thank you for allowing us to be who we are for as long as we've been. And that says a lot for the Ripon Public School District too, don't you think? That a lot of us stay around for a long time because we believe in what we're doing. So thank you too.
So you have no reason to feel you have to sit through the rest of the board meeting?
You can think about it as an option in your I'll use this as a recruiting moment.
So for those of us staying, are there any requests to adjust the agenda? If there are no objections, we will.
No, she likes to.
So we'll move on to announcements for the contributions to the district.
The following individuals donated $250 or more to the Ripon Foundation as a donation. Betsy Heffernan, James Jenks, Justin Cooker, Bill and Judy Neal, Lois Quinney, Arlo and Diane Redker, Ruth and Christopher Retzlaff, and Webster Marketplace. And we're very thankful for those donations.
No student representative. So we will move on to new business, and the first item is materials adoption for K2 social studies. Could I have a motion to put this on the floor?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Betsy. Discussion. Is there any discussion about it? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Yours hasn't come up.
Mine either.
I rejoined.
There we go. Good. All right, and that passes unanimously. Second item is to consider approval of Reading Teacher 316 Certificate Program and Mathematics Specialist Tuition Reimbursement. Is there a motion to put this on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you, Nate. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. And that also passes unanimously. Consider approval of summer school contract modifications. Is there a motion to put it on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Tom?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Nate. Discussion.
I think it's fine. My question is, how is our enrollment looking for this summer? Numbers up or down or what?
I think we're up at the middle school. Quite a bit there.
We're down at K2.
We'll have to wait to find out.
We have time yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I call for the vote. And that passes unanimously. Moving on, we have the Student Services Administrative Assistant job description. Is there a motion to put that on the floor?
So moved.
Thanks, Betsy. Andy? Is there any discussion? Seeing none? Call for the vote. And the job description is approved unanimously. We move on to consider approval of alternate ed license tuition reimbursement. Is there a motion to put this on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you, Nate.
Second.
Thank you, Tom. Discussion. Seeing none, call for the vote. And that is approved unanimously as well. We may be setting a record here. We move on to consider approval of 2022-23 student fees. Is there a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
And I think the important thing here is that the fees are the same as last year. Is there any discussion? And I call for a vote. Approved unanimously.
And with inflation being rampant, it's good to have something that's not just
Right. Absolutely. Now we consider approval of preliminary 2022 summer school staffing. Motion to put it on the floor.
So moved.
Thank you, Betsy.
I'll second that.
There's Nate. And there is one comment here. I gather that there's one addition that's missing.
Yes.
Go
I just
ahead.
wanted to make a note.
Yep, just making a note that in the early childhood intervention line, Ashley Geezy, Cheyenne Ulrich, and Chris Megan will be running that program. Chris's name missed the list.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Call for the vote. And that passes unanimously. Consider approval of summer part-time custodial wage increases. Can I have a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Josh? Any discussion? Seeing none? Call for the vote. Approved unanimously. Consider approval of new transportation provider Northern Express. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Tom. Second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
I have a question. Where are they thinking of having their terminal?
I was going to just introduce everybody to Jeff Walker. He's here, the owner of Northern Express. Yeah, Jeff, come up here. We are really excited and optimistic about our future here with Northern Express, but I'll let him maybe talk about that question and if anybody else has any others.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. To answer your questions, so the terminal that we have the offer to purchase and pending approval tonight is 525 East Fond du Lac Avenue. It's the former bus garage. Right over here.
Any other questions?
We're excited to work with you and look forward to the future, and we can't say enough about the excellent references that we've received as we called around to other districts that you work with.
Thank you very much. We are definitely looking forward to adding Ripon to the Northern Express family. We thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jensen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's make that official. I call for the vote. And it passes unanimously. Consider approval of the revised 2021-22 budget. A motion, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you both. Discussion. Any questions for Jonah? Jonah, anything that we should have asked questions about?
The one thing that we're kind of pleased to do with the budget revision is to push all but $50 of ESSER 3 spending into future years, which is really important. And we were able to do that with some unexpected revenue that we got, the CARES Act, the Federal CARES Act, and then there was another federal grant that we received recently. It was about $30,000, the Kids Getting Ahead grant. There's another federal grant that we may receive at the end of this year called the Emergency Connectivity Fund. These are all federal programs. They're all one-time programs, but it is really helpful, and then it pushes the ESSER 3 money into the future so that it helps us in the future years, and we'll see if we can do that again. Potentially, if we have savings, we could potentially take ESSER 3, part of ESSER 3 out another year before it had to be spent. And that would just help us slowly, kind of balance out the years with this federal funding a little bit, so we don't use it all in 1 year. So.
A follow-up question to that, Jonah. The last time we talked about this, you were preparing us for the year ahead and that it might be a little difficult and painful in terms of budgeting.
Yeah.
So is this mitigating that, this pushing that money out?
So we're not worried about next school year. We're worried about the year after, as you know. And yes, so if we can take part of our ESSER 3 dollars and not spend it all next year, we can put some of it to that, to the next year, the third year out. And so that would mitigate some of that problem. And so we'll try to do that again, where we try to not spend all of ESSER 3 funding. We're going to have to spend most of it next year, just to do our normal operations. But if we're able to save, $200,000 or something like that, it would help us in that third year to not make so many cuts, and to have more revenue. So.
Other questions for John? Seeing none, we can vote. And the revised budget is approved unanimously. Consider approval of 2022-23 open enrollment application decisions. Motion, please. Michelle?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion. So I take it the decisions are basically cut and dried, that if we could accept, we accepted. We don't have special education places in some of the class sizes. They were already closed due to our decisions in January. I will call for the vote. Approved unanimously. Consider approval of the staff 403B retirement plan contributions. A motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. So this is the same thing we did last year, and we can afford to do it again. All right. Call for the vote. Motion is approved unanimously. All right, so now we get into the Neola updates, the policy revisions, and we have to take them in pieces. So this is the first reading. There will be a second reading. There were essentially no major changes here. The biggest one, however, is the replacement policy 2414, human growth and development. But if you remember our last meeting, Gary suggested everybody take a look at it to make sure you didn't have any questions about it. Mostly it was a rewriting to make it much easier to understand. Put things in places where they weren't spread out all over the policy. So, any questions? Well, let's have a motion to put it on the floor first. Anybody? Josh, thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Now, anybody have any questions, comments? I'll call for the vote. Passes unanimously on the first reading. We move on to the second group of policies. Could I have a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
And this group, I think, is even less controversial than the other one. Any questions or comments? I call for the vote. And it passes unanimously. Motion to put the third group on the floor. Josh, thank you. Second?
Second.
Any questions about this group? I call for the vote. Motion passes unanimously. Motion to put the next group on the floor.
So moved.
You have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right, call for the vote. Motion passes unanimously. Motion to put the next group on.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Call for the vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, we move to personnel. Considering approval to hire professional staff. So we have 4 new hires. We can take them all at once, or we can take them separately. Who cares to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
All 4? Okay. Josh, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call for the vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All 4 are approved. Approval of part-time teacher contracts. Is there a motion to put that on the floor?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I call for the vote. And the contracts are approved unanimously. We now have the consent agenda. And did you remove that one from the consent agenda?
I didn't know that if you needed to announce that before
I don't know.
Sorry.
I am asking for the last item to be removed, not because I think it's a bad item, but because I want to know more about the situation. So, with that one removed, anybody else like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Then I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, except for items requested to be removed.
So moved.
Thank you, Andy. Second?
I'll second that.
And I call for the vote. Consent agenda is approved unanimously. So we return to the last one, which is the 22-23 agreements with community providers. And before we discuss it, could I have a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you, Betsy. Second?
I'll second.
Betsy. And so my question is, I just want to know more about the situation we have with regard to the 4K. The agreements don't seem to talk about money, but the summary recommends changing tuition payments to RCLC to flat $30,000 for next year. So Jonah, if you could just explain how our relationships with the outside providers works. I guess I don't really know how it works.
We pay a tuition amount per student. So currently we pay $989 per student who attends the RCLC and Grace. And earlier we had agreed to not have the Grace section just because our 4K classes are getting smaller. So we're only going to have the 4K site at Barlow Park Elementary and at RCLC. They'll have 2 sections. What we're proposing is not that different as far as the total payment amount. We think that the number of students in the RCLC sections will increase. So it's roughly $1,000. If there were 15 kids in each section, it would be $30,000 anyways, roughly, under our current terms. So we're just, they had asked for a couple things. They they wanted to increase the wages of the 4K aide who works in the classroom, and everybody agreed this is a good thing. The wages were really low, and less than $12 an hour. And so we said, yes, let's, you should have more payment. And, Dr. Whitrock said that they need to have a little bit more stability for themselves, knowing how much funding they're going to receive. They have to have this aide hired anyways. So whether we have 15 or 16 kids, they still have to pay for this aide.
And we felt like it was an unusual situation because it was the amount shifted depending upon the number of students in the actual section, but we control the number of students that are in the section because we place the students in the section. And as Jonah said, they have the same number of costs regardless of those few students that come and go. So it seemed like this was just a more solid way for them to have a flat amount and know what they're going to have and not wonder as those amounts change. And it makes it easier for us too, for our purposes, that it would be a consistent amount each year moving forward. So it seemed like it was more complicated than it needed to be. They don't have a competing program, and maybe that would have been a good way to do that if there was a competing program within their own facility, that we would want to set up a system that would encourage them to fill ours first. And that's not the case.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you very much. I'll call for the vote. And that one passes with one abstention. So, we move on to superintendent reports.
Yeah, and really one of the nice things that I just wanted to share just as we work our way through COVID is I've been meeting weekly with the health department over the last year and a half, and then we shifted to every other week and then once a month. And for next year, right now at least, we're down to quarterly meetings, so I thought that was a positive thing to share. So, and then other than that, it's that time of year where we look to select the Friend of Public Schools Award recipient, and so we always put a board team together so that we can talk through that and find our review candidates and make a recommendation to the board.
So is there interest in being a part of it?
It's very fun.
Is that just a one meeting?
Mm-hmm.
I'll volunteer for that.
Anybody else?
Oh, yeah, I'll volunteer for that as well.
Thank you. And then if anyone else has thoughts or ideas of individuals you'd like us to consider review, if you would just email those to Jolene and I, that would be wonderful.
Great. All right, we'll move on to curriculum reports. Any questions? Good. This is not here.
I'm just curious. I know no one likes the fact there's a long lag between these tests and we get the results back. What's the explanation for that? I'm sure you've given an explanation.
Yeah, I think they're just going through and reviewing those. They are electronics. You'd think we'd be able to receive those back. They usually time those out and we get those, just shortly before our actual district report card comes in. So, I suppose, I don't know. We'd love them sooner.
I'm sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Move on to business-related reports. Any questions for Jonah? That could either be the general fund interim budget report, or it could be the food service report.
Joe, I'm glad you stayed away from cryptocurrency. That was smart. I'm glad you stayed away from cryptocurrency. Yes.
Me too.
All right. Any comments anyone would like to make about school operations reports? We do appreciate them even when we don't have any comments tonight. We are ready to convene to closed session. So I'll take a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Dave, is there a second? Second. Tom. And we'll call for the vote. All right. So you can stretch your legs.